Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk about Debian package and PowerShell. So dpkg is the Debian package manager, is called the mother of all packages on Ubuntu Debian distribution. As you can see, we're using the Debian distribution, and the flavor of Linux is Ubuntu operating system. And I'm going to be covering a Debian package along with PowerShell, PowerShell long-term support, basically on Debian Ubuntu long-term support. So in this video, you're going to be seeing both the package Debian pkg as long as we're installing it. Also, it is already installed, but we're going to install a Debian package called PowerShell. So welcome to my YouTube channel at youtube.com, and the channel handle is MyWebUniversity. Today I'm going to be covering Debian package as well as PowerShell from Windows operating system. So now they are integrated. You have the power of PowerShell along with the entire Linux, whether it's Red Hat or Rocky Linux. You could install the RPM package manager, and also if it is a Debian distribution, you do the Debian package manager using dpkg or apt-get. Apt-get, if it is a part of the repository, you just install it. But if it is a package with the .extension of .debian, then you use Debian pkg to install it. I'm going to demonstrate both of them. In fact, we already covered Debian pkg on another video, and also PowerShell on with how to install it on Linux Ubuntu. I'm going to cover a little bit more detail using both Debian package manager and PowerShell long-term support. So the PowerShell also is the actual binary that gets installed, and also the other command that you could use that is either symbolic link to this or PowerShell or LTS, which I'm going to show you next. Then one of them is pointing to the other one as symbolic link, but the actual binary is the package for PowerShell long-term support, excuse me. So let's get started with this in mind. And then as you can see on this video, I'm going to be covering both of them. Then later on, I'm going to also cover it in Farsi language. Please, if you have been learning it on the language for Farsi, Bazabone Farsi or Dari, then just welcome to the two channels that I have, whether it's in English or in Farsi. I'll cover both of them in another session. So at this time, I'm going to just go to my website, which is my YouTube, youtube.com at MyWebUniversity. This is the popular videos. As you can see, there's a lot of them, and that you could watch on different topics, whether it's the entire Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 or Rocky Linux 9 or Linux Advanced Levels or Solaris operating system or Bash scripting, Xterm, and everything that is out there, Python, C, C++, PowerShell. There's a lot of stuff, PDF, C++, I mentioned that one. So there's a lot of stuff, MySQL. You're welcome to watch it. In addition, I have other resources that you can learn the entire Linux Ubuntu online. You don't have to install any Linux machine or add a Docker or VMware or virtualization or Amazon Web Services. Basically, come in my website, mywebuniversity.com, table of content, and then this table of content, it shows you the 14 chapters on this book. Each chapter by itself is another book that you can learn and the entire thing. If you're learning Red Hat Enterprise Linux, there's about 12,000 PDF files on the manual pages that you can not get it in PDF. It is all in text file. But if you just come in my website, you get everything on PDF files, and a click of a button, you could just get the PDF files produced to you right here. And then that's how easy it is to get those ones. This one is an advertisement. So I'm going to go back to the site. And if you click on this one, this is the PDF file that you will just go on each one of them you click. You will see Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 documentation and PDF format for you. And I give full credit to MyWebUniversity, my website, Python programming language, the Red Hat Linux manual pages, and free PDF. And then here is the PDF file for you in a very nice format, as well as if there's a link on it, you could just click on it. It is going to take you to the next site. Again, this is section 1 through section 9, all formatted for you. It is really easy to read. At a click of a button, you could just get it. Similarly, if you're getting like dynamic Linux Ubuntu manual pages, you could just generate it by typing the command like bash and then click on the bash.pdf, and you get the entire thing there. So you don't have to be sitting in front of a Linux Red Hat or Rocky or CentOS or Ubuntu or something. You just come in and just get the documentation there. Whichever one you click on, you will get the documentation for that one. And if you just know the command, for example, you just do Control F and type in Python, then whatever Python version, like Python 2.7 is also available for it. And then if you type in Python 3, you'll get the Python 3 documentation. So any documentation, Python 3.81, you will get that one here. And depending on what version is installed on the machine, you will get it. And then there's other documentation that if you want to go like Java or Go language or Node.js or something, this chapter 13 will help you. I'm sorry, chapter 12, the dynamic. So instead of typing bash here, you could say, for example, Node.js for Node there, and I'll just generate it dynamically for you, the Node.js. And if you want to see like more documentation, some of these documents like a Node.js.org API, application program interface, that will take you to Node.js API, and you just go more to it. And let's say you're looking for net module, you just get all the documentation, all the method and function calls that are happening for similar for operating system, similar for path, and similar for everything else. And then if you just come back here, you could just go search for more. If you're saying, give me some Java documentation, you could just get that one. All manual pages at a click of a button for you. Similarly, if you come in on my site here, you can get the PowerShell documentation. So for Linux PowerShell, I told you that I already covered another one for the before integration, everything was Bash versus PowerShell. And after integration, now they're integrated together. PowerShell and Bash works together. So if you're inside PowerShell, you can learn any Bash or Unix or Linux commands inside PowerShell. And then inside PowerShell, you could do a for statement that allows you to do a Bash scripting, as well as use the app command, or maybe for each command of PowerShell itself. So all of those ones I have showed in this video, how to install it with Linux Ubuntu. You can get the package from Microsoft, and then once you get the package, you do a sudo to install it, and apt-get update your system. Then you do apt install, and then this wget is basically going to my Microsoft repository, and then the install -y option, yes, it will install it. Then you can source your etc OS release, which is this version is going to show the version _ID, would be, on this case, was 22.04. It will get it, and then it will download that package with wget in quiet mode. That's this wget-q option means in quiet mode. And then the debian package -i means install it. And if you just want to install it, you give the name of the extension, it will just install it with Debian Package Manager, which is mother of all packages. The other package that you can use on Ubuntu, once you install the Ubuntu server, you come up with Debian Package Manager at the time, and then Debian Package Manager install apt-get, apt-install, all those packages that are with resources and sources.txt and everything, as well as snap, the containerization package. The application package toolkit is kind of like a repository similar to RPM. So it is just making sure all the dependencies are met. So if the dependencies are in the repository, app will make sure it get it. But Debian package, it has to have this container. This package has to have it, similar to Snap. Snap is also similar to RPM because every package is contained by itself. If it is another dependency onto it, then you have to install it. In fact, Snap is fully contained with the package. Like, for example, if you're installing Firefox, you don't have to just worry about it. The whole package is there. But if with RPM or, for example, RPM and also app, when you do that, the repository of app will make sure that any dependencies are also downloaded and get installed. But RPM, you have to make sure that they are meeting those requirements. If but one package is missing, then you have to do another RPM finder, find it, and then install it. So there's a kind of some information you have to know about them, how to get it done. But over time, once you do that, these work, it will just come to you. And then apt-get update is just doing the update. Then in this case, we're doing apt-get install. So if you're doing, you could do apt install or apt-get, because this one is coming from the repository of PowerShell, like I told you. And then once installed, then you can do PowerShell. If you had done the Debian package, this would be the command. So you have to download with wget and then install the Debian package. So on this documentation, on this chapter, the 14, I'm giving you both the documentation of whether you use Debian package manager or the apt install and apt-get stuff. But with apt-get, you have to do update your repository first. So you make sure that PowerShell repositories are up to date, and then you just install. And then PowerShell, this is the binary that you could run. If you want to run it as root, you have to sudo or switch user to root. And then after that one, you get the pound sign, which means you're on the root level access. And with this one, when you start services or processes on Windows, PowerShell services, or systemd on Linux, then you have root access, so you can do add account, user, and other ones. So whenever you do installation of software or modules, then you have to do it within root. When you do it regular stuff like PowerShell get dash commands or PowerShell get dash process, everything, you can run it on either user account or root account, depending on what you're doing it. So once it's integrated, Windows and PowerShell works together. And as you can see on my PowerPoint presentation here, on the PowerPoint presentation, when I put it on the first page, I said Debian Package Manager along with PowerShell. Once you install PowerShell on this one, let me go to the English version. This one, Debian Package Manager and PowerShell. You can see Linux Ubuntu, Debian distribution, and PowerShell, they work together, right? So what does that mean? That means that you can go on Microsoft, on Google or somewhere, Bing or whatever search engine you search, you just put this word install PowerShell on Linux, and this learn.microsoft.com comes in. The first link that you click on it, it goes in this page here. So when I click on installing PowerShell on Debian, you can see it shows you the documentation I just showed you. Similar, it is using GitHub or something. So installing on Debian 10 or 11, via package repository, it tells you what to do. And then again, and this is apt-get update. And then if you're doing apt-get install -y wget, if you don't have wget, you have to install wget first. And then source etc os release, and then wget minus quiet mode, the name of the package. And then debian package -i, the debian extension, you install it, which I showed you just in there. Once you install the debian, you don't need the package, you remove it. Then apt-get update, it will update it, and then after that one, apt-get install -y PowerShell, and then you can start PowerShell. So this is one way to do it, and then if you're doing it install via direct download, it shows you that this is where the Debian package is. So you get it from GitHub for PowerShell. Their long-term support 7.4. And then once you do this one, you can also get this package from their .debian and then install it like this. Download it and then have the extension .debian. And once you do wget on it, then you can do a dpkg on it, which is right here and there, or just if you do from the app repository, you could just install it through app repository, apt-get apt install. That's right here, okay? And so this is some of the information that I also showed you here. At this time, I have already showed you a demo of this one on multiple Linux and Red Hat server, but I want to just show you, for example, if you're running a Linux Ubuntu a VM, how to do it, or let's say you're just switching to a Linux server that is Ubuntu, how to do it. So the choices are limited, you can do it. And if you are on the Windows machine, obviously, I have done a Windows version here. So this is 7.4.2. And then the documentation here, you could see $PS version table. Like if I just get this one, you can see that the OS is Microsoft Windows 10.0 and the 7.4 version here. So you can get this one also from get-hostname. Get-hostname as an object, if you get it, you can get all the information. And then if you wanted like .os there to just to get the OS version, if there's any OS information, you will see it. But notice the OS information is not there. What you could do is like, for example, give me the version. And the version, and then will give you all the console. But the other command that we did here with PowerShell version table, this one, it has a dot operator because it's an object, and then you can just give all these kind of fields on it. Say, give me, for example, the OS, all right? So it will tell you the OS version. Give me just version information. It will just, if there's a version dot, let me just check on this one dot, and then you see the options that are there. You just have to go by the options, the parameters that are there. So you could get this, remove to string item, this and that. So there's a lot of them, but for each one of them, yeah, the option is not version, PowerShell version. So you could say it. I think it would have made more sense to just say PowerShell version table dot version, but they just came out with it. It doesn't matter. You could assign it to this one to say $sign version is equal that, and then now $sign version has that information what you're seeing. So a lot of ways you can just create a variable or create an object. Now this one becomes an object. I have a lot of methods and properties I associate with this. And you can do also get-member. So this get-member, it tells you for that object, what are the members, meaning that what are the methods that are defined here, and what are the properties that we can do with this version.member, like version.major, version.minor, version.patch. Every one of them could give you information like If I need the patch version, it's version 3. If I need the build version, it's version, no, not build is not there, but the major and minor is there. So minor is there, the major should be 7, right? So we could get that one. And then $PS version table had something to do with build. So no, sorry, not build. Get dash host, get dash host, get dash host dot version. It gives you that one, and then you could say version dot build. So you could get that information, and then $host is also give you that information. Get dash host is pointing to. So this is on Linux, I mean Windows, Microsoft or Windows 10. So you can also get here system info and then say, for example, find string dash iOS name, for example. And then you could see that it is Microsoft Windows 11 Professional Edition. A lot of this information you can get from Windows command line or PowerShell command line. You can get that one. I'm going to close this one because we are going to talk about a Debian package manager. So let's get to log into one of my Linux server, which is Ubuntu. I'm going to log in there. Okay, so now I logged on here. I just open a session, a clear screen there. If I say host name here, or say my web tutorial, if I say cat etc voice-release, then you can see, let me clear screen, cat -n, and then etc voice release. You can see that on this machine, previously I installed Linux Ubuntu 22.04, and the code name is Jammy Jellyfish right here, as you can see, and version is 22.04, and this is Debian distribution, right? So at this time, we know all that information. Then I want to see if there's any package installed here with uh, the name PowerShell. So how do I know that one? If I say which pwsh PowerShell, then PowerShell is already installed. So I could say file user ben pwsh. You can see that PowerShell is a symbolic link to this PowerShell, which is the actual binary. So if I say read a link, user ben PowerShell, you can see that it's pointing to that symbolic link there. And that file is actually one of the executable file, right? So if I just do this one, and if I say file ben's $, this means that whatever was my last argument, just run file against that one, which is the name of this, as if I say file this name. So this bang $, is a substitution for that one. Now it does show that this is an executable link format, and executable link format 64-bit. So you can see all the details of it, and you can also do LDD, bang $. LDD means show me all the shared object files associated with it. And then you can see that the PowerShell is installed on this directory, and then the executable file is right at, in front of it, right? So if I just say ls -l and just type in this one, this is the directory structure. Notice all the Microsoft Dynamic Link libraries are there, DLL extension, and then everything. But how do I know which one is the executable here? So which PowerShell told us, whereas PowerShell also in Linux is going to tell you that one. Locate the PowerShell, it tells you if we install the app install plocate, then we can do that one. Let's just do that one. App install. So in order to do it, ID-u and I'm user Wahid. I'm going to do sudo and then apt install plocate. and then give the password for the root, or Wahid in this case. So I'm going to be prompted and then says, do you want to just run and install that package? And this is another way of installing app there. So some of these packages are saying that these services are going to be started. I could just say, that's fine, go ahead. I am not running anything that I need to worry about it, but it is just restarting some of the services on those ones. And then once that one is done, it is just going to install this other package there. And then I could check on the service on in addition to this. And then while this one is done, which is right now, it shows that it's done. So if I say locate again, this one, pwsh, now the locate binary is installed, right? So that was telling me that those are the packages. Another way that is there, you could say, if you want to use a package manager like which Debian PKG, this one Debian PKG, it tells you what is the name of the package on PowerShell. So if I say Debian PKG-S PowerShell-long-term support, then it says, oh yeah, PowerShell long-term support, user share doc is there, and then as if you're doing a whereas, this one is telling you a further detail. And if I just say -L, list it, then you can see that PowerShell is automated configuration and it is everything there. And if I do another long-term command with uppercase L, then it's all the binaries and everything is are showing here as if I'm doing a listing of every package that are there involved, dynamic link libraries, all of the details, right? So at this time, if I just am interested on this command, then I say grep -I bin, meaning that only show me the binaries. So under the binaries, there's two packages. One is file user bin pwsh, and the other one is user bin pwsh long-term support. That's the one that are in there. But notice both of them are symbolic link to the actual pwsh, which I just showed you, that there's the executable in format. So whether you type in pwsh-lts, it's going to take you to PowerShell, or if you just type in pwsh, which is running this one, is going to, this one and this one are both symbolic link to the actual executable in format. So if you type in pwsh, also take you there. By default, it tells you that the 7.4.2 is running, and then you can say $PS, $PS version table. You could get that information. And then right here, you can get all the details here. So imagine, I mean, clear screen. This is in Linux, so you have to type in lowercase. If it was Windows, case sensitivity doesn't matter, but it is, I'm inside PowerShell, so when I type in clear or clear host, this command will work only because alias clear command is pointing to, actually, alias is on PowerShell for Windows. Alias is not a command. Did you guess why it is not a get alias as a command, but alias itself is not? Let me tell you why. So when you're on PowerShell on Windows, if you type in get-alias, it tells you all the aliases. If you clear a screen and you type in alias, it also gives you all the aliases. And if you type in get GAL, like gal, the get alias also give you all the aliases. The reason is that alias, gal, it will tell you that it is a shortcut to get alias. Same thing that get alias is the command, and same thing that alias itself is a shortcut. So whether you type alias or gal or get alias, all of them are using the same command. But notice here, get-alias clear command or get-alias CLS, they're all pointing to the clear host. So whether I type in clear or get-alias and type in at the clear command here, or just say pwd as there, alias pwd, all of these commands, alias ps. Notice some of these commands on Windows, they're actually an alias. Like ps is an alias, but because ps is already a binary on Linux, you cannot use inside PowerShell ps command. Similarly, since alias is a command on Linux, you cannot use alias. You have to use get-alias. But on this one, you can use alias on inside Windows. So let's get back to the Windows. I showed you that clear alias doesn't work, but you can say get alias and then say clear. Now, get alias is not showing. Let's see why it is not showing. Get alias by itself. Yeah, get alias by itself works, and then get-alias. Clear is a Linux command, so the alias is not assigned to anything. But if you say get alias and then say gal, then that is alias, right? Similarly, if say get alias, let's say another command like dir is get child item. So if I want to run dir, it is running the Windows dir command, right? But if I want to use ls, ls is the Linux ls command. ls minus l and df minus h, ps command, alias command by itself, it is all commands of Linux. And then alias inside PowerShell, alias also works similarly without this. But if I say alias, for example, set item, and then it shows you that one. And then if I say get alias, and then si, because that one is not, actually it is, it will show you that information. So the ps command is the actual Linux command, which ps, you can see file user bin ps, it's executable. So when you do file on Linux, it's ps is running PowerShell commands. So if you do ps minus efa, it takes different argument like grep minus I, pwsh, and you can see PowerShell process, which PowerShell, here you have the PowerShell attributes and everything that you can just work on it. So if I say $host, it is pointing to my version of PowerShell there, or get-host, it will tell you that one, right? So at the same time, get-host give you this host name on Linux, it tells you this. And if I need the IPA, that's Linux stuff. So if I do fconfig, which is Windows, then fconfig is Linux also. ipconfig is a Windows command. But notice ipconfig does not work here. However, fconfig minus A works, fconfig by itself works, IPA works, all of those ones. Notice that all the commands that you work on Linux, they will still work on Linux. However, if you want to do like ipconfig, because that's a Windows, inside PowerShell, it may not work on Linux, but watch when I go back here on the PowerShell of Windows, I can do ipconfig, because that is ipconfig is a command of Windows. So it runs on the command prompt as well as there. And then if I say netstat minus rn, those commands are working here. Similarly, like ping something, right? Ping an IP address or ping a DNS name or something, whatever is ping www.google.com, those ones will work. Why it does work? Because these ones are actually the exact command. So if I'm back on this terminal, I could say ping www.google.com. You can see that it is going there. And then the nice thing about some of these ones you can start some processes or stop some processes. So imagine here with the PowerShell commands, how many executables are there. So get dash command, now dash command type application. If you want to see all the application, and apt-get is one of the package, you can just search for apt-get there like that. And then if you say, well, that's great, how about just getting all the packages? And then you just say up to here, this is saying get command dash command type is application. And then you can see how many are there. And then imagine now you're inside Linux. It shows all the binaries of Linux, right? All the command with zcat and zsh and SSH and other ones. So if you are looking for an application and you say, let's see how many commands are with open SSH, open SSL, anything with open, you should get a list of them. And you can see the parallel open SSH, open LDAP, open a lot of them, right? And so the same thing, there's like if you are looking for get dash command and commandlet, you could get a list of them. So if you just say how many of them are there, word count minus L, because word count minus L is a word count of Linux. Now you're using up to, sorry, let me just put this one up to the first before the pipe symbol, which is this is the pipe symbol. This is saying that get the input of this command to become the output of this command, the first command, the output of it, give it to word count minus L, so I could get a list of it, how many are there. Similarly, and now the first part of the get dash command type, the commandlet was a Windows command. The second part, word count minus L, which is lowercase l, it is a Linux command. But you can also say measure line with measure dash line would be the same thing as there. But notice that the number are different, 256 versus 252. One of the differences because you're using native code here. So here, this is not counting the line spacing between them. But when you do word count, it is counting the extra line. So if I just don't do measure like this, notice there's some lines that is right here produced without line spacing. But the one with measure, with word count, it counts this one and all the other differences. And then that's why one of them is different than the other one. But they're accurate. So it is that many line of characters. And then on this command, like if I do a df-h, notice there df-h. And if I just put that one, say head -5, and then word count minus L. So this one says that for the df-h is as the first argument, pass it on to head -5, and then show me the top 5 of them. Then do a word count. So obviously it's going to show 5. And if I do a tail -5, then it's still word count is gonna say 5. But if I just don't do this one, notice that it shows the last bottom one. And then this one, if I just don't do this one, it is there. So imagine when you do something like this, and then you do now measure dash line, that is going to show still 5 lines for that one, because without this one, you can count it even by just doing these 5 lines. It is there. So the nice thing about integration of PowerShell with Linux, and then you can run any Linux command in PowerShell command. So imagine if I know both of them, I know PowerShell and I know Linux and I know Red Hat or Ubuntu, then now the sky is the limit. Even if you know one of them, then you could learn the other one much, much easier. So at this time, imagine if you were just knowing PowerShell on Windows. And you could do everything on Windows. But if you know Bash or Python or Shell or C, C++, now you're inside PowerShell, you could jump into any direction you want. The entire Linux Ubuntu and Python and other programming applications that are there, you can use them. For example, if I want to just SSH to a machine, I could just, inside here, I could just SSH myself wget and then the IP address and the host name and information, and then connect to that machine, or secure copy files, or run Python. Imagine right here, for example, if I want to just do a for statement. So if I just do for something like, let's say we say for each, and then I'm going to define $num, and then I'm going to say add an array of 1:15. So I'm going to just say this is the array, which I'm going to do this one. I have to use n here. That's the syntax. And then for each of this one, I'm gonna use this brace here, and then $sign and num, and then add this array, and then you say what you want to do here. So I say write dash host, and then I want to just say $sign num. So I'm going to write that one colon, let's say hello world, and then we just say hello world 15 times, right? 1 through 15, because we're inside a for each statement. So if we do this one, now we're all using the PowerShell syntax inside a Linux server, right? So we're inside PowerShell package manager, PowerShell, and then inside PowerShell, we're running PowerShell code. So if we do this one, and then hello world is there, and then I'm going to just do minus foreground, and then dash foreground color, foreground color. Let's see if it is foreground color, like that. The foreground color is spelled like that. You make sure that it's there. So the foreground color, we want to just do the $sign now, whatever is color between 1 through 15, we want to write that one. And then that's about it. And then close this brace that we started right here. So if we do that one, notice that there's a typo here. So it says after keyword for each. So the syntax is saying that I'm using $sign num and this, and then maybe I don't need this two bracket here. And then let's skip this one. Okay. For each statement, $sign num and $sign this for each. Okay, so this num, I have to use this kind of a statement as an interpreter to do this, and for each there. Okay, the typo is between the brace and the other one. So right here, for each statement, you have to have some condition here, which is $sign num is there, or I could just say $sign num here. And this, then when I do the right host, I open the brace. This brace is right host, then all the way up to the here, and then close it. So this, for each statement, the next bracket parentheses that I need is right here. So that's the right syntax, and you can see that works. So if I just do this command, as you can see here, for each statement, $sign num and $sign at 1 through 15. So it goes through those numbers, and then notice character 7 on, 8 is a different color because the background and the foreground is there. So then I showed you on the other video that you can do a if statement. If now $num is equal 8, then set the background background color to white, for example. So on that one, and I had another video that I could show you, but just watch that video also. At this time, I'm going to do another demo, and then let me just show you that one. So if I just close these ones and then just say, okay, let me just go to IC, integrated standard environment. So integrated scripting environment, IC. Then you open this one, and then in the integrated scripting environment, I could just say, let me just open one of the program that I did last time. I believe it is called PowerShell 2 right here. Maybe that's the one. Yeah. So if you just look at this code I showed you on the other video, basically for color and color range, when color is not equal 1, then produce this output. When color is equal 1, then just give a white background here. So in this case, this program will run, and then it will produce the output that we want. And let's just run it, and then it says, enter your name. I say Wahidullah. Wahidullah Wahid and Dullah Lutfi. So now you can see that it says color. When color is equal 1, the background is white. So blue on white is going to look okay. But blue on blue, it would have not looked okay if I didn't change that color. That's what I mean by putting a if condition on the other one. Okay. So this is a demo for that purpose. But on this one, notice that I did this one using bash. I'm sorry, I'm using Python. I'm sorry. I used PowerShell scripting for each statement with PowerShell. So if I say bash dash dash version, then you can see that bash dash dash version, I am inside a bash scripting, right? When I did a PS, and if I say get n dash get n password and then Wahid, then you can see that I'm using by default echo $sign shell. I'm using bash, right? So is echo $sign shell is not pointing to anything, but it should be bash and there. And then my get end process shows that one, get pass WD, and then you say ID dash UN also shows me that it is Ben Bash ID dash UN. Let's see, get end ID dash UN should work, but let me just, backtick maybe. Yeah, I did the backtick. So let me see ID dash UN. Yeah, ID-UN gave you that one. So get end password. So the backtick does not work inside PowerShell. What you want to do is use $sign, let's say ID-UN, and then if that works as a subshell, it works. Or you could just type in the account, Wahid, as the name, or to give you the same thing. But the backtick did not work. So if I could run a command inside bash, I should be able to run it inside PowerShell. So with the backtick, maybe there's another parameters that you just have to double code it and then do it. But here you can see it. Let's double code that one to see if with backtick you have to double code it and then run the backtick. No, it is not allowing you that there. So that's something Microsoft can look at why the backtick does not work in there. But there's other ways you can do it, so it's not a problem. So here I'm using a for statement inside bash. I told you I'm using bash, right? Bash dash dash version, we're using that 5.1.16. So I'm going to use a for statement inside bash, say for, I'm going to say for to say syntax of 1 to 15 do something, right? So the for statement of bash, if I say for $sign I in sequence, again $sign sequence, I have to put it in between the subshell like that, and then do. So for, let's see, for I, yeah, since I'm using a variable for statement inside the bash, let's see if I could do this one easily or not. I could do a for statement syntax of like C shell, inside PowerShell for $I is equal 0, and then we say $I less than let's say 15 or 16 in this case, and then $I plus plus, and then say something here. What I want to do is erase, say right dash host, and say $I colon hello world, and then dash foreground for ground color, and then I want to say $I, and then close the brace. So in this case, notice that when I did this one, it requires semicolon because of these two requires I less than this, the last one does not. So that's the for statement of C shell kind of a syntax. You could do this one inside. So let me just clear the screen here and run this one. Notice that for statement I is equal 0, and then I less than this and that. So at this time, I want to just get into actual bash. So let's get to say run bash. Now I was inside Python, inside PowerShell, I jumped into bash. So at this time, if I say pwd, I'm there, and then I say id-un is working. So for a statement, say for, let's do a for, I'm gonna do inside here backtick, say sequence of 10, and backtick, and then do echo and dollars echo. Actually, we could do something like for I and backtick sequence of 10, backtick, and then do echo $I, and then done. So notice that we just did that one within this. So the only thing is inside PowerShell, and the backtick was not working. But this syntax tells you that you can do something like this. So instead of echo this one, we could say echo, again, if we are inside the PowerShell, we could just use those one statements. And instead of this one, say, for example, echo colon hello world, and then it will just word that many times, right? So we did this one, but now we want to just accomplish this one with a color things. You could run the utility laugh cat, and it will just print it there. So this is accomplished easily inside PowerShell. Inside Bash. So now I did this one. I want to do similar syntax, exit out of Bash and back on PowerShell, right? So now I say, well, can I just do the same thing using that kind of syntax? I could do that one. And instead of this, I could do also like that. You saw that this one also produced that output. But this is PowerShell syntax. So now, if I just want to do the syntax of earlier, we did that one. We could say for I. Let me just go one screen up. Sorry, I need to. I messed it up. Sorry. I'm inside PowerShell, so the command that I wanted to use is this for statement right here for dollar for I in sequence. So what I want to do is I'm inside PowerShell. I'm going to say okay, $sign post. It's going to be telling me that I'm inside 7.4.2. So I'm going to clear dash post. And then I say for I, and notice that in $sign sequence of 10, I could just change that one to $sign sequence of 16, for example. And then here, I'm going to say do. Notice the do statement was not allowing me in this syntax. Here, if I just cut and paste the same syntax here that we did here that worked, let's see if this one is going to allow it or just the backtick is not working. If this one is working, then we could see that why it's not working. Yeah. So inside missing this parentheses, because PowerShell is saying that when you use the for statement, that one I want a kind of like a separator here, $sign. And then notice that if I do even this syntax as this, the do statement has to be in a state of brace here. And then an echo is fine, hello world is there. Laugh out loud, cat is okay. And then here, and we could just say brace here. That one will might work, but again, this $sign I is going to be complaining about it. Watch, if I do this one, it is not understanding this sequence of 10. So it says, oh, you're doing backtick, and instead of that one, so I'm going to say for we could just do the PowerShell way of doing the same thing rather than the Linux for statement, because inside PowerShell it's not going to accept that syntax. As you can see here, if I do for and then say $sign I and sequence, I could just say instead of sequence, I say add array of 1 through 15, and then I don't need this. I could say brace, and then instead of echo, I could say write dash post, and then write that variable $sign I, and then hello world, and then maybe the locate and done port, I could just subscript it with dash foreground color. That would be all Pythonic way. $sign, not Pythonic, PowerShell way. So $sign I, you could do that, but $sign I and then close the brace here. So there's a missing something extra character, but yeah. So the missing is right here because I started that brace, and let me just go up. So for a statement for I and each, we could use this one for each $sign I and 1 through 15. That's a for each syntax. Right host $sign I, which is kind of like what we did earlier, right? So what about instead of that foreground color, we could pipe saying that since it's integrated, let's see if laugh out loud cat works. Now, you see that the syntax on the laugh out, okay, laugh out loud cat, I just mistyped it. Notice the color did not change that way. So that is something that you have to do it on this way. And that would just generate it there. So there's a lot of ways you can just do same thing inside this. And if you run like some command or do a stop or something, whatever command that you could run inside Linux, now you can run inside PowerShell. And then some of them with the backtick, I just demonstrated that they're not interchangeably used. But if you exit out of this one and say, let's say ls minus l and then backtick date, or just say echo, not ls minus l, echo the $ date, it will just tell you run the date command. That's similarly like if you did this. But echo, you can just say echo, let's say this is today is, and then you could just backtick that on today is, and then Tuesday, January. So some of the backtick stuff, the way it works on Linux, you can also do subshell. But we noticed the subshell worked on PowerShell, not on the inside the backtick. So you just have to look at it. And like PS, it works here, alias works here. So if I say alias and then for Python, if I have any Python 3, it is not there. So if I say Python 3, obviously Python 3 dash version, it reports it. So if I just create an alias for Py to just be Python 3, now I say Py dash version, I should get it. And then run Py, and it will just get there. So now let's say assume that you created that Py as an alias on Linux, which alias Py is pointing to Python, right? So Py dash version will give me that, Py dash v will give me the same thing. Py by itself will take me to Python, and I could run the command. So if I say, for example, import math module, and then math dot square root of let's say 49, and then you can see get it 7, right? Math dot pow of to the power of 10, and then it's going to be 1024. Similarly, if you just want to clear a screen, here say import OS module, and os.system, you can say run the clear command that would do that one. And then os.system get alias of a Py, it will tell you that. And if alias is set, it will show that one, but because that alias command is not running on the inside PowerShell, so you can do like uname -a, and those commands will show df-h, all the commands that normally works on Linux, or cat -n etc os-release. So you could see that one, and then if you just want to clear the screen, you could just clear it. And then now if I exit out of this one, I'm going to go to PowerShell. And now since I'm inside PowerShell, if I say Python -v, it will tell me that Python version, I'm running Python. So if I go inside here, I could say, take me to Python 3, it will go there. And then I say for $, for num and range of, I was saying $, because I thought that was in bash or PowerShell. But once on bash you're there, you can use $, but initially you don't say $, when you create the variable. So for range of, let's say 100 here, and then you could say, or just let's say 10 to 100 with a step of 10 or a step of 5. So you could say 10, 15, 20, like that, that would be the range. And then here say print and say the numbers, right? So you could say print num. That would be a very easy printing 1015 through 95, right? So if you just I'm inside the Python, I'm doing Python code here. So if I say import OS and then say os.system and then do the clear screen command, I could just get out of that one. So I do a dir command, I'm running this one. There's a lot of things you can do. I'm gonna quit out of this one also. So now I'm on PowerShell. But the PowerShell limited of things that you could do with commands, like any command that you could do, like let's say I want to do man PowerShell, a manual page if there was anything, or man PowerShell dash long-term support, you could get that information. If there's any command on Linux, man, let's say pwd or quit man printf statement or anything like man minus s printf for section 3 of the files. So the section 3 minus s that I have to do at 3 here. If you want section 1, by default, you don't have to do dash s1 because that's the command lines. But if you want like a man mount, for example, that's section 8, you can see that it is showing a system administrator level, right? So if you are here and then you say man minus S8, you mount for unmount, then you could, yes, yeah, you could do a minus section or just do mount, you mount. So this is a lot of stuff here you could do with PowerShell and then other ones. So remember get dash command and dash command type. And then you could see here application. Just for the application, if you do a word count minus L, you can see there's a lot of them. Notice that when you do halfway PowerShell, halfway word count minus L, when the list is really long, it took a while, 4,800 application. But if I do this one with major, see how fast it is. 4,796, excluding the spaces there. So the major, because it's native to native, when you're doing PowerShell and then passing on to Linux, then it is a little bit overhead that I/O, when it's happening between the two application that the API calls, has to translate all the methods and all the binary calls and just get the work done. Then it takes longer. So like, for example, get dash process, process, you can see there's a lot of them right here. And then if I say word count minus L is fast. The measure, it is fast because that is just a smaller chunk. But when we did the application, that's not a smaller chunk. For the measure, it's fast, but for word count minus L, it is not as fast. That is going to take time there. And if you time it, obviously, you will see the difference there. Let me show you the difference. So let's do a time on it, and then you can see in the amount of time it took in a second, and then all of that information. So cannot run git command timers. So let me just see time. And then this one is also showing you, and then we say major dash L. And notice how fast it's on the other one. Non-zero, no such file or directory. So the time command itself is not working inside PowerShell. Let me just see why. So I'm going to exit out here and I say time pwd. You can see it runs here, which time it works, user bin time. So if I go back on PowerShell and then I just use this one, and now I'm going to specify the path to user bin time. because that one is actually the binary that we run. And now notice that git dash command, no such file or directory, it cannot run this command against this argument here. And so this application, let's see if we can make that one as an object here. Yeah, it's just error out of that one because we're doing a word count on it. And then, so the time is, this one is giving you a word count on it in one sense there. And then it is time consuming on the application. If you do a measure -l, it's going to be fast, really. Okay, so we notice that one is there. But and depending on which application, there are some of those calls that you're doing it. You have to look at this, like for example, exit out of this one, clear screen, say df-h, if you ls-l are on the root partition, this is going to run really long, right? So if I just want to say, just run this one on etc, it is not that long, but it is still there. So run it on user, you can see it's going to take a while. And instead of this one, you could do something like that and time that command. Then it will just give you a time at the end of it when it is done. And you can see the timing is here. So let me get this zoom out of my face. It's blocking my view. So sometimes it was harder for me to read some of them. I'm kind of like talking as if I'm just blindfolded. And then that's how sometimes works. And I had a professor, Dr. Armadka, in probability and statistic that I really liked calculus and probability statistic when I was a computer science major. He had like 4 PhDs or 5 PhDs, and he was very, very smart. And he was saying that some of these formulas that we teach you, whether it's a statistic, probability, or calculus, some of these formulas, if I wake you up in the middle of the night and say, what's the integral of this one, or what is the derivative of this, or what is probability of this or y, x, y, z. Whatever formula I ask you, you should just wake up and that should be on top of your head. So sometimes when you do these things, muscle memory helps you. You don't have to know these things. Sometimes certain commands that I do it, if I tell some student or some person, say, do this one, if I'm not in front of the keyboard, I may just say something and then all of a sudden I just say, let me type it in and I'll tell you, because that command I used it 6 years ago or 3 years ago. And then there's thousands of arguments and parameters for every programming language, every operating systems. Nobody can claim that they are perfect. Even if you look at ChatGPT, I've caught error on ChatGPT when they're telling you some regular pattern recognition or a regular expression, saying that use this regular expression and it works. Then you say, you just suggested that solution earlier, and then I told you that that solution was not the right solution. Now you're telling me, why do you use that solution? And that was mistyped. So sometimes, for certain things, also ChatGPT and other ones are a little bit biased, or not a little bit, a lot biased. Like I asked ChatGPT who won the World Cup of 2022, and then they just were biased. This is France when Argentina won it. But sometimes they also don't give you information after something happened. They don't have the updated information. They go certain time, their knowledge base is up to certain time. So just look at those information and then put apple and apple together, and then sometimes whatever you learn and memorize, make sure that you just see the differences and then discover solutions and be service-oriented architecture. So when you're trying to serve something for somebody, make sure that you please them with your knowledge and understanding of the system, and then the application and the operating system and programming languages, and do your best, okay? And God bless you all. Take care. I'm going to end this video at this time, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I did not install it, the Debian packages, but I showed you the documentation because on previous documentation, I had installed it already. As you saw that the package were there, you could remove the package and everything. To get the package from Microsoft, you just point to that wget, and then when you do wget, it will download it in -q quiet mode like I showed you. Take care. Have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.